We are going to start this meeting, and we've got several speakers this evening, but we'll start the meeting with prayer, and then we'll have Pledge Allegiance, and then we're going to get started. So let's do this. Lord Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening praising your name and the fact that we get to be your disciples in going out as disciples and teaching people, teaching them the way you would have us be disciples and teaching them the truth about what's going on in this nation and world, Lord. We thank you that we can be a part of your plan, your providence. And thank you for allowing us to gather in a public place and teach people actually what is going on in the world, Lord. Ask that you would be with us as we go through this meeting and touch all of our speakers and of course the audience. In Jesus' name, amen. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yes. So this evening we have Councilman Clary is going to be talking in a bit, and we've got Senator McEwen also here with this evening, and we've got a few others that are going to be speaking as well. A special meeting of the City Council will be held on Tuesday, July 22nd, 2025, beginning at 6 p.m. in the City Council chambers at City Hall. And, okay, well, I'm going to give you the microphone. I understand you were pretty hot at that last meeting.
I was.
Yeah, and we're all excited about watching that video, I think, tonight.
Oh,
Here you
hold on,
go.
Just a second.
Well, okay.
I want to do a live feed here.
Ooh, again. Well, most of you guys know me. I'm Laura Cox. I try to go to as many city and county meetings as I can, and which winds up being quite a few. And normally, I try very hard to keep my cool. And this time I lost it just a little bit. Normally when I speak, I plan to speak. And I've written out what I'm going to say, and there's a mission. This time there wasn't. And whenever I just jump up, I feel like I need to speak. I always think, Lord, am I supposed to, or am I being impulsive? Because I don't want to be impulsive and speak out of anger. And this time I was moved. Something that several of them said, I had to hop up and run. Because normally they say, any comments? And it takes me a minute. And then I think, yeah, okay, I'll comment. This time, boom, I was going to be first. So then it's like, okay, be with me. Guard my words, guard my actions. Make me be a conduit for you. And so I was very nervous. I waited and waited and waited for them to upload so I could see, like, how did I come off? Because I was hot. And so I had no idea. Well, who knew it was so hard and would take so long for them to just, put it on the website. But it took like a day and a half, 2 days, and I finally saw it, and I'm like, phew, I did okay. So what happened was, we've had 2 new councilmen elected that we put in, right? 2 not like the others. And the way we know is generally the votes turn out 5-2, 5-2, 5-2. So again, they were doing what they always do. I don't mind disagreeing, that's fine. They don't have to vote the way we want them to vote all the time, the whole council. But really teases me off when they say, we're going to withhold information, you just vote blind. We don't care that we haven't given you the information. We don't care that we didn't prepare you. It doesn't matter. We're going to hold the vote without. That's what bothers me. They did it in January. They've been doing it all along. They did it again in July. So there were a couple comments made, and it was clear they were going to do that again. What they were voting on was certain board appointments. So they get the information basically at end of business on Friday, which everyone in the city has gone home. It's too late to do anything about it. They have Monday, they have Tuesday. And as the comments were made, the board members, we have real jobs. We can't always make contact with you. And then someone else will make a comment that is exactly the opposite, and they'll say, the city is perfectly available to us anytime we have questions. They answer my questions, with the implication being, I don't know what's wrong with you. They don't withhold information from me. Why can't you get information? Well, just because your questions are answered doesn't mean that Councilman Clary and Councilman Smith's questions are being answered, because you can't say that they are. So there were a lot of things like that. We have real jobs. We can't possibly do all the legwork that we're given to do. And then on one hand, they would say, just kind of go with it. This is the recommendation that was given to us. Kind of like, it's not hard, just vote, go with the flow, do what we're all doing. And then at one point, then they said, well, these people, we're so lucky that we have people just volunteer, because thank God there are volunteers, because we don't have time to do everything that these board members do. So just say thank you very much and approve them all. Doesn't matter who they are, just give them whatever they want and be grateful that they're willing to volunteer. But then on the other hand, they would say, these are just board appointments. They really don't have a lot of authority. Like, they don't have money to spend. That all comes from us. So different council people would say exact opposite things. It's important, it's not important. Just rubber stamp it. It doesn't matter. But then, the city has done all this legwork for us. Just let's go with their recommendation. So it's the policy. And they always say too, we've been doing it this way for forever. Just do what we've always done. So the comment that made me just pop up and run was West said, and these are the exact words, because they're seared in my mind. He said, Administrator Cole runs this city. Runs this city. And I thought, then what are you turkeys here for? And why do we have elections? So this was my frame of mind. So someone asked me, could you tell us what you said? And I could not. I had no idea what I said. So I said, why don't we just play it? And so here we go. I got complimented, so I figured.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Laura Cox. I can't believe what I heard here today. It's continuation of what's been happening since these two councilmen have been elected. But guys, it's been 6 months. So from 2 wards, half of the members, many people who voted for Councilman Clary and Councilman Smith, are being shut out. All they're asking for is information, fair, reasonable information, so they can make an informed decision. Nothing that's out of reason. And you're saying, no, we're not doing it. Like doggedly. This time, the next time, the time after that. Is this gonna last the entire 4 years? You've all made the admission that everyone works. If you get your packet, and I know how long it is, at the end of Friday, you work on Monday, you work on Tuesday. It's difficult to make those calls to get the information. Nobody is saying you're being denied, but it's tough to take time out of your business, your work day,
to get the information in 2 short days. And frankly, if you get all the information and you get all the information, why can't it be supplied to everyone? That's only reasonable. You're making an admission for half of it, but you're saying, no, we won't do this. It's not fair and it's not right. You guys are stuck on policy. If the policy isn't working, it doesn't matter whether you've been doing it for eons. Change the policy. And Councilman West, what you said, the city manager runs the city. My first thought was, I like Administrator Cole. I like him a lot personally, but he wasn't elected. You all were elected. If he's running the city, what are you doing? In my mind, he's supposed to do the day-to-day from your direction. But every time the people that I voted for try to make a stand or just ask for information that they can vote intelligently, you say, no, we're not going to give you that information. Not fair, not right. And it really bothers me that 5 out of 7 of you are just happy to rubber stamp. I mean, I don't have a lack of faith in our employees. I'm sure they're all great. Honestly, I don't have a problem. But it's your job, you were elected, to do the homework yourself. And that's all they're asking to do. They want the time and the information to do their own legwork and not just take someone else's assumption that I should do what you told me to do. That seems reasonable. So I'm asking you, please look at the policy. Can we change the policy? If we could do that going forward, I think that's a lot more fair. People are going to be happier with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm a little excited.
Lee, you should be a city council person. That was a very good presentation. Yeah, excellent. Well, Rolf and I were having a conversation, I think it was last Friday, at my office. And he said, I don't think anybody's listening. And I said to Rolf, they are listening. They are. They're like children. They're listening. They're hearing it. But they're not giving you the cues. But they're listening. I know they are. And it's people like you that really make a difference when it comes to how this city turns out by being persistent in what you do and showing up for council meetings. I am busy enough with my 2 businesses that I just don't have the time to come to council, but I spend a lot of time on one-on-one and 2-on-1 educating my clients as they come through the door about what's going on politically in this town, in this county and state. So everybody has their talents and their abilities, but you just got to stay with it. You got to be attentive and just keep doing it. And that's what's going to make a difference in the future. And I know that we have a lot of leaders in this town. And I'm telling people right now what the city did with that comprehensive plan that they purchased for $400,000. And actually, people are quite amazed that the town did that. And one remark I had today was an individual said, how was this town built? How was it built? And I said, through people that had visions and stamina, and they weren't quitters. And there's a lot of people, I've been here since 1973, there were a lot of people in this town that were responsible for making this town what it is today. And that wasn't by buying a $400,000 comprehensive plan. We have a nice town here. We have a nice community. We don't need somebody from Texas telling us how to build our town. And you all are going to be the ones that are convinced these elected officials, whether they're city council commissioners or state government. You just have to stay with it. So, on to the next topic, and that would be you, Jack. I want to introduce Jack Clary. He's going to be visiting with you about another topic. And here is the mic.
Thank you. And again, thank you, Laura, for making that conversation. It hit home for everybody in that room. I think we got a policy, it's going to be changed because of what you've done and the support in this room. So that's a win, right? what I want to talk a little bit at first is Gillette Reproductive Health. I brought this piece up in the workshop and was detailed enough to show how much cash this group has on hand. And I was very disgusted when I presented this to the mayor and other council people. Why are we asking, why are they asking us for $30,000 when they have roughly at this point in time being December 31st, 23, over 400 some thousand? That didn't make sense to me. And, but that's the way it went. It's not right, but it's what happened. So I made a pitch to Mike Cole and the mayor and Attorney Brown that this season coming up for more nonprofit funding, the first thing you put on an application, how much fundraising did you do? Was it once, twice? What'd you net? What's the silo of money do you have in that silo before you go to the well that everybody thinks is free? So I don't think that's much of an ask for this community to have. The other thing, everybody knows on the hospital at the time, I brought out they had over 1,000 signatures to support Gillette Reproductive Health. My solution is, if you got 1,000, have them all put $30. My math, that's $30,000. Pretty simple to do. If you have all these supporters that really want to fund it, that'd be the mechanism to trigger, wouldn't you? But I wasn't there, so I don't know what the reaction was. I got feedback from people who were there, but it's not what I hoped. Okay? The second thing that I did at the same time was they wanted to approve the city budget of $151 million. I voted not to pass that budget. And the reason why I did, because there's stuff in the items I asked to be removed. So why would I approve a budget that I was against with some of the internal spending? That's oxymoron. And that's why I voted no. And I want to clear that up because I didn't have the time when I was in the hospital to do that with the audience. But I'm doing it now, I'll do it again. Because if I don't believe in something, if my constituents don't believe in it, I'm not going to sell it. You know, I really, if you think about it, I have really nothing to lose. You know, I got 3 more years. And I ran on my principles, my values, and what I heard from the constituents. I'll do nothing less. The other thing I want to share for you, it's been a sore spot in the past. Anyway, they're in the budget for 25 and 26. They have allocated $150,000. I want to make sure I get this correct. To complete a study phase, to develop and design scope, and provide better estimate for construction costs, and that is for more softball fields, like the Field of Dreams. Okay? 26, 27, another $300,000 has been allocated to complete the design of those improvements. Now keep in mind, it hasn't been approved, we haven't approved that budget yet, but it has a placeholder of $300,000. 27, 28, a placeholder of $10 million to construct this ball fields. But yet, if I remember, my memory serves me right, weren't we here about half a dozen months ago, well, November, we talked about the Gurley overpass going to cave in any day, and then I didn't know what I was talking about from an engineering perspective. Well, all I know, we put an RFP to get designed, but we haven't done nothing else. And I keep asking, where's this money going to come from? And I'm not trying to backstab anybody. There's the questions I have that you all should have, not just me. So I'm waiting to see how that comes out. Now, they did make me a note that the construction will likely change once the study is completed. Well, that tells me if we're factoring this amount, that's going to change to go this way, or maybe a little this way. But I've never seen too many construction projects in Gillette in my lifetime goes this way. Have you? So anyway, and I promised Shay that I would give a copy of this agenda prior to me speaking, because I don't want him blindsided like I was blindsided. I don't do that to anybody. I never have, I never will. That's why he knows exactly what I'm saying tonight. So does Mike Cole and Sean Brown. Okay? I just want to be transparent on that. I gave the mayor, Sean Brown, city attorney, and Mike Cole, administrator, a copy of what I was going to say tonight, so they're not blindsided. Yeah, transparency. I like to be transparent. I got nothing to hide. I truly don't. Yeah, checking account, $32,271. Money market, $61,362. ICS amount, $203,000. A CD worth $161,506. Now, I know this is factual based on the first of 24, so I don't know what went on in all 24 yet, and we can get that information, but it's got to be done a different route, okay? But it's astonishing me we didn't even take a look at this in the workshop, right? I can't answer that question. It's from the questions I asked my colleagues and the mayor, but I have no idea. I'd have said exhaust some of this. Well, this was given to me by Pastor Vickers. He did a FOIA on it. That's how I got this information. Okay, I don't think they're going to go up there in their building and give this to you. I think you got to go that route. But they aren't obligated to give us, that I know of, the exact dollars amount in their checking account, savings account, something like that. Now, if we would ask them and did a FOIA, yes, you're right. Maybe that's what needs to be done as we go forward for the next period around, which I'm going to encourage you to get done, because we need to know what's really going on with these nonprofits. All of them. Every one of them. Something like that. And if you read the article in the paper for the last couple of days, they had they're expanding. Well, the other question you look at, how many of these nonprofits do the similar thing but a different platform? Right? And a good example of that is Women's Resource Center, totally funded through fundraising. Don't ask a dollar from anybody, right? They give away diapers. Gabriel Project. So why are we operating in silos? Why not combine them and make it one source? And I think that's the next step that needs to be pursued down the road, my opinion. It makes sense to me. I know I could not stand up if I had a project asking somebody for money. That's just me. Well, that's how you become a nanny state. You know, the federal government kind of led the way all along with this whole thing. And you need to stop it. People need to rely on themselves. I understand there's people in hard times. Don't get me wrong. One time I was hard in hard times. But I never asked my parents for money. And Lord knows I never asked the government because I had pride. I'm not saying nobody else does, but I'm just telling you about me. You're right. But I need to move on because I know we got other speakers. And I just want to, I appreciate the comments and the questions. They're great. But I got another avenue we can pursue that a little later on here, okay? One other thing I want to share with you is the special projects that's been budgeted in the 25, 26, and 26 and 27 fiscal years, okay? Again, you already know about the ball fields. They also want to do a beautification phase on Shoshone Avenue in 25, 26, $600,000. And then another at phase 2, $700,000. Now, I haven't been able to see the cobwebs, see what this looks like yet, but that's what was in this budget, and the reason why I voted no. Shoney's over there by the rec center. You're preaching to the choir. I agree. The other thing I want to point out to you, and just sit and listen to this one. They have budgeted $900,000 to restore a restroom in Dolby Park. Well, I'm just saying, and I asked that question. But I was told, I asked that very question, and they said, well, you gotta have an architect, you gotta have this and that. And I'm not disputing that's not the case, but I'm just saying $900,000, that's ridiculous. Now, I gotta give you one more piece of information. They do have a grant for $450,000. I don't understand what's gotta be attached to that, but just from budget perspective, $900,000. And then we have a parks master plan for $250,000. And then we have a transportation master plan for $300,000. And this is the one that's near dear to my heart, economic development. We gave them $130,000. My question's been, when I ran, when I was at the workshops, what are we getting for our value? How many times are we going to give these people money with no results? At least I haven't seen them. If you guys have, let me know, because I'd like to look what some of these projects are. But I was told by one council person, well, it's to help pay these people to do the job and look for work. I says, why do I want to pay them money, which our obligation is for the city employees in the community? private money going to that is not right. But again, coming down the 5-2 vote, you see where we struck out at, right? Pretty obvious. And then we do have a budgeted of 1.2 million for contribution from nonprofit. But here's the kicker you gotta understand. Our statute or the ordinance was 5% of our 1% sales tax. By 5-2 vote, they decided to increase it to 5.5. Does that make sense? So anyway, if you wonder why I voted no, these are just some of the reasons. We do need change. We do need change. We got to stop the outflow of money. Anybody got any questions that I can answer that's quick? Well, the budget before was negative 5%, 24-25. This one is only minus 1%. These numbers I wrote, Rich just spoke up, that's 3.3 million we could cut out. And if you look at the 26-27 with the ball fields, that's 10,850,000. That's a lot of money to me. And it's our money. But anyway, this is what we got. And I promised everybody when I ran, I'd pull back the onion and take, and that's why I do what I do to let these people know, so they know I'm not trying to go behind their back. I tell it right straight up. And that's just me being transparent. So thank you. I know it's in the general fund. So part of that budget, that's included. And see, we won't see any more of it until it comes up on the agenda for approval. And that's why it's critical for people to look at the agenda on the city website the Friday before the city council meeting. It may take you 15 minutes to go through it, but there's a lot of information that can arm you for the city council to discuss with people. It's your right, it's your obligation. In fact, December 4th, on the agenda, Rusty Bell is going to come and do a presentation to City Council. One of the things we asked for before giving the $130,000, they make a quarterly review with us. So that's open to the public, so I hope people come and listen to that. So you understand what, because you won't get any information I'll get. December 4th, or December 4th, City Council meeting. And that's the reason why I ran. The other thing I want to point out to you, we're going to have my second town hall is August 21st at the library, at the Wyoming room at 6 o'clock. Now, that is not where I'll stand up. It'll be, Troy McCune will be one of the speakers. Jerry Means will be a speaker, myself, and Mary Bruner. And we do it every quarter, mix everything up with people. But there's a time to come and ask questions. We're not going to stand up for 30 minutes and preach. We're going to do a little introduction and say a few words. But that's an opportunity for people to ask us questions. So the more people we get there and the more vigorous becomes, the better informed we are as a community. So I hope to see a lot of people there.
I'll bring up Troy in just a moment. There's a poster at the library.
Ralph Aarons, I was at the library, and there's when you walk in to the right side, there's a billboard of posters there, and one of them was Gillette Reproductive Health, and it was blah, 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 and on the lower right corner was a QR code. So I scanned the QR code, and it took me to Wyoming Health Council, and there I found all kinds of interesting stuff, and I'll be very brief. There was abortion, I wouldn't say abortion links there, but very kind of suspicious links on that website. Gillette Reproductive Health is shown as a member of the Wyoming Health Council. The one that disturbed me outside the abortion issue was treatment of adolescents for reproductive health, birth control, sexual training, family planning without parental consent. I don't have children, but I had tears in my eyes when I saw that. And I checked the Wyoming law, and I think Wyoming law actually allows that in some weird form. Troy, you're here, maybe I'm not quoting it correctly. But we gave $30,000 to Gillette Reproductive Health, and they can treat minors without parental consent. To me, that is absolutely terrifying. I'll be brief. I know we have a lot of people.
Yeah, it was best that Ralph actually explained that. I did go to the website after he showed it to me, and Gillette Reproductive is actually lying to us. They're lying to us about how they treat this type of stuff. they do endorse abortion based on that poster from them at the library. Well, I guess we get to have Senator McEwen come up now.
I'm going to dovetail off of what Jack just presented. All the special projects. As you know, we enacted a tax cut, and we were going to lose fire trucks, policemen, sheriffs. Everything was going to get shut down. And it was only 2% of the budget. 2% of the overall budget. Stuff he had up there added up to almost as much as the whole tax cut. The 501c3s, one thing we don't ever talk about, some of them, we want to see their budgets, but how much money are they keeping when they fundraise? I think it would shock you. Red Cross keeps 60%. 60%. It's just a tax shelter. So I think we need to look at that. And I want to hit on the nuclear stuff that's going on. We're looking at legislation to ban the storage of it in the state this next session. Might be a tough lift. It's going to take 2/3 vote to get presented, but I think we can do it, especially in an election year. People tend to vote a little differently then. I shot a bow across the state's, or put a bullet across the state's bow to completely eliminate property tax. Oh boy, was I popular. Almost every newspaper in the state. This guy's half crocked. It's property tax is unconstitutional. It's a terrible tax. We're putting together a plan. In fact, I had a Zoom meeting this afternoon to look at consumption tax, some of the severance taxes, to take care of some of it. Obviously, we got to have something because we do like fire departments. And some of us probably like the police department. Some of us don't. But it's a necessary evil. And then we're looking at reform with the schools. That's 72 cents of every property tax dollar goes to the school system. 69 cents of all the rest goes to the schools. So the only way you can cut the budget is cut school funding. But then we have the legislators in black robes who like to tell us what we can and can't do. Right now, during school recalibration, we're being directed to give every child, K through 12, a laptop. What's a kindergartner going to do with a laptop? It's just another lazy way for the teachers to get around teaching. Here, have this laptop, do this exercise. Submit it, we'll grade it, and we'll move on. It's crazy. And I imagine you can do it 2 or 3 times, too. So that's some of the stuff going on school recalibration. They want to put a counselor in every grade school. What does a K through 3 student need with a counselor? If there's a problem and they need a counselor, that's got to be solved outside of school. No, you're absolutely right. But I still have a problem with the taxpayer paying for it. I mean, I remember when I had kids, about 3 minutes of fun followed by 21 years of agony. And that's not true. I mean, I dearly love my kids and they're doing well. And they did have parents at home. Right now it is $22,200 per student. Yes. And they will tell you it's only 16 to 17,000. Maybe getting up to 18,000. Well, capital construction money's in there too. So you're paying for the new schools. Let's see, what was the other thing I want to talk about? School recalibration, school finance. Oh, gaming. Gaming. A little scatterbrained item on 6 different committees this year. That's why I haven't been around much of June. July's looking a little better. Historical horse racing. The slot machines, basically. That exists so that the horse tracks can raise money for purses. And that's the excuse. We want to keep our horse racing alive. Well, more people care about playing those slot machines than they do about going to the horse races. I went to the last one they had here, and maybe 10% of the stadium was filled. And most of that was people, jockeys, and crews that were there to run the races. And there's one going into Cheyenne. And the big fight over that is they want to bleed off everybody else's purse money until they're on their feet. Well, the other two didn't get that, but it is Cheyenne. The data center down there is tax exempt for sales tax on computer equipment. It's about $200 million a year that we're not collecting. I guess we really like Microsoft. And they want to build more. And they do provide good paying jobs. But they're taking your tax dollars to pay them. Yes, ma'am. A ton. You use a ton of electricity too. I think the spin on that article, if we're talking about the same one, is numerous people that work there live in Colorado. They're floating an idea of getting a bus to pick up all of the green weenies and bring them up to Cheyenne to go to work. How does that help us? No, it's like any other huge source of electricity.
So it's bad, it's horrific.
Yes. Kind of like windmills. A windmill will not pay itself off before it's out of commission. And it's okay if the windmill kills an eagle, but you have a dead eagle on an oil field site or a coal mine, they shut it down. So we're looking at the tax structure on that too. Want to hear another irony of them? Hundreds of thousands of gallons of crude oil to keep the motors running. Well, I wouldn't call that very green. And it puts out 3 megawatts. The coal-fired power plant puts out about 500 megawatts. So it's interesting where we're headed. But one of the things we're going to try to do, since it's a budget session, we want to extend long-term homeowners tax relief. The 25% doesn't have a sunset date on it. The House is looking at acquisition value as another method. But we're going to keep going after it. And as you know, if you've ever been to an assessor's office to get data, I had to put in a FOIA. We also have a coal mine, ESM. Does anybody know about that? They haven't paid property taxes in 4 years. So that's a big, fun game for the county commissioners to play right now. And they're doing an executive session as we currently talk. Figure out how to either bail them out or shut them down. It'd be a shame to see those 2 mines go away. It's about 600 to 800 jobs. So you got to ask yourself, does this coal mine or these 2 coal mines not pay property tax because they don't want to? Or is it more they can't afford to? I mean, we overtax the snot out of them. And their basis is 100%. And I guess what I'm saying about that is your house gets valued and then it gets adjusted to 9.5%. And that factor is taken into the mill levy, and that's what your taxes are. A coal mine's 100%. And I really don't want to get into severance tax too much, but they're hurting. And we keep going to the well. And it's real popular because those taxes get redistributed across the state. So all of my peers, oh yeah, let's crank up the taxes on the coal mines. That's more money for us. The problem is, when Wyoming's energy sector goes away, Wyoming will go away, or it'll be completely different. So I'm glad I'm not on the county commission to deal with this one. But we'll look at it at the state because it's state assessed property. And we're still fighting for that. We've appealed his decision. So it'll probably end up in the Supreme Court. The legislators in black robes that seem to do whatever they want. It's scholarship money for people who want to educate their children outside of the school system. Yes. And the school of choice bill got passed too, and they're challenging that, of course. Well, each county's different for what they pay per student. The $22,200 is the average. At one point in time, we had a school in Chugwater, $63,000 per student when it was open. It's big money. Here's how this works. They call it ADM, average daily membership. And that's the students. and they have to be there 80% of the days. So the more students they have, their ADM goes up and their funding goes up. Now, the school of choice, homeschooling and that, it offers families $7,000. What a deal, huh? And the only thing you have to do, homeschooling, is there is a testing requirement, but you can pick the test. And your student doesn't even have to pass it. They just have to take it. Right now, nationally, we graduate people with the ability of 35% are competent. In Campbell County, 12th graders at Campbell County High School read at 42% grade level. And at Thunder Basin, kind of arguing with them, I said, why don't we just pump a little sewage into Thunder Basin and we'll get it up 2 more points. I mean, at the end of the day, the state of the school doesn't affect the education. No, but, and 49% of our 3rd graders read at grade level. 49%. And we're doing high fives throughout the room. Woo-hoo! We're higher than all the states around us. By about 2 points. And then when you hear them say, oh, we're ranked number 6 or number 5, if you look at those reports, it's pretty simplified data. And there's 12 schools tied for number 5. So we're actually 17 maybe. And NAEP scores, we're even doing terrible on those. And then the argument is, if you homeschool your child or you send them to a private school, they're not going to get the quality education they would get in public school systems. I think the education committee knows. I'm about a mile wide and an inch deep on that one. No, not on purpose, but a while back, I'd hired one. I know he had at least one. Here's the problem with Social Security numbers. In California, you can get a Social Security card as an illegal alien. Then you can take your Social Security card and you can go get a driver's license. And then you can plate vehicles. And yeah. Well, your average illegal alien that comes from California goes down to the driver's license shack, trades their California license in for a Wyoming license, and now they're buried even deeper in the system. About 8 months into it, his I-9 got flagged. We do that. I don't want to mess with the government on I-9s. It's basically a form, proof of citizenship or proof to work here. And if you don't fill them out, it's kind of like not paying your federal taxes. Yes, sir. Well, just my opinion. It's been their plan from day one to get that to 4%. It was in the application. It's in their credential statement. The funding model is 33% students, 33% tuition, and 34% state funding. Well, in order to get the state funding, you have to be at 4 mills. And I don't think it's been 5 years yet, because I haven't been in office for 5 years. we weren't going to have sports for 5 years. One of the first employees they hired were coaches. So they're going to keep pushing for more and more. I think they went, well, I know they did. They went to the county and asked for another $1 million. We're working on some legislation for that. Right now, our coal-fired power plants in this state are already extremely clean. And the coal we burn in it's clean. One could argue that the leaking windmills, thousands of gallons of oil, are worse. And that just soaks into the ground. And you know why you're seeing all the windmills. You put a windmill up, you get a subsidy. I'll take a couple hundred. And it's not nuclear waste. It's spent fuel. I'm telling you, they're marketing this quite well. The other problem is those containers might last 27 to 30 years. They have them all over the country in a couple places, and all those states are trying to get rid of it. That nuclear material in there can last 20 to 25,000 years. So let's store it in a 25-year container, and we'll just put it deep, deep into the ground. We're looking at legislation. We'll pass a law where you cannot store it here. You mean for it? Reuben Tarver? No, that's what I'm trying to figure. Well, one of them's name is Driscoll. The other one's Barlow. I'm not sure where Ken Closton falls out on it. He's never commented one way or the other that I've heard. The rest of us are absolutely against it. I don't think so. Yeah, his last 2 years, and he's got another year left, but his 2 years as Senate president was pretty rough, and last year was even rougher. Yes. He was kind of neutered a little. He had stomach surgery. Sorry I took so long.
You did great. Thank you very much. I had the pleasure of going to North Dakota over the 4th of July for my 50th class reunion, and I got to visit with all of my liberal friends up in North Dakota. And some of them, when they found out that I'm a conservative, they liked me even less. Troy, you were talking about a couple of dollars for one of those wind machines. I have a classmate that has 14 of them on his farm. His income per year on that is $140,000. This is what the public doesn't know about this stuff. And he says to me, well, what's wrong with that? I'm making money. Yeah, I said, you can buy groceries on that. That's not a problem. But I said to him, you're getting $140,000 a year, but what about the lower income people that are having to pay their electric bills? What's the subsidy on that electric bill? Have you noticed in the last 10 years how your electric bill with the city of Gillette's gone up? Significantly. So you take a lower income entry-level job or wage earner that's trying to pay for taxes and electric bills and heat bills and all of that. They are actually suffering more, and he's making a lot of money off of that. But they get to put that stuff on his land, and he makes a lot of money. He knew nothing about what these poor people are having to pay for electricity. He knows nothing about it and doesn't care. Well, they actually are an eyesore. They really are. Yeah. Well, and you understand too, he's not paying the property taxes on that stuff. The owner of those units are paying the property tax, so he's just making $140,000 a year. Owner, let me explain, the owner of these machines gets federal subsidy for it, and we're paying for it through our electric bills. And they're getting income, subsidized federal money for it. And that comes out of all of our pockets. And then when you get your electric bill, you're taxed again. But we're all paying that surtax, even us in Gillette that are getting their SETI electric bill. We're paying that surtax, and it shows it on the bill. Yeah, that's percentage of green energy is, I think you're right, it has not come to Wyoming. Now, the reason why I asked you, Troy, what is the average cost per student? And you said 22,000. How much? 22,200. Or 22,200. Okay. So when I got back to the town where I graduated, went to high school at, the superintendent of schools took us on a tour of the high school. And I asked him, I said, so what's the average GPA here at this high school? And he said, and he's the superintendent of schools, I am directed, now get this, I am directed by the school board. The school board tells him what to do. Isn't that nice? And he said, it's not so much grade point average here at this high school, but when our seniors get to be seniors, they have to be military, trade school, and college ready. Get that one. And he said, and they are. 1,500. And they have an indoor pool at the high school because the people in the town paid for it. Fantastic sports teams. They're engaged in their schools. And I like the fact that the school board runs K-12 or K through 12. The school board runs it all. And the school board is elected. That's great. Yeah. So even though they are Democrats up there, and it's because the farm program is so large that it entails everything that the farmers do there. In fact, they don't plant crops up there until they look and see what is subsidized by USDA. And then they plant. Can't blame them for that. But I like the way they run their education. They are conservative people, but they are Democrats. They really are. And one of my classmates, she said, I see by your Facebook that you're conservative. And I said, I am. And she said, I like you less. And I said, and you're going to like me less when I tell you that I carry. And she said, I don't even like you now. So I wanted to bring that up. Pardon? Oh, yeah. Yeah, she liked me in high school. But she was smiling when I gave her a hug and we all departed. So I think she still likes me. She just doesn't understand a conservative. I told her a handgun's nothing different than a hammer. It's a tool. Oh, I suppose you carry your hammer around all the time. And I said, well, when I was on the farm, I did. And a fencing pliers. And I said, you have to keep in mind a handgun is an inanimate object. It does nothing until it's touched. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for showing up. I just wanted to share with you. That should do it for the meeting. We ran a little late, but it was a great meeting. We had a lot of information. It's all been filmed. And then, oh, by the way, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but the amount of public people or the individuals that watch this thing is widespread, is it not, Susan? It's all over.
Yeah, all over the country.
All over the country. Yes, it's widely viewed. Well, it would be nice. Yes. How do you find it online?
It's John Patriot of Northeast Wyoming,
John Patriot, Northeast Wyoming is where you find it.
Facebook or YouTube channel.
Facebook or YouTube channel. Yeah. There is a lot of people watching it. In fact, there's even been individuals that have commented from even the eastern part of the United States that have commented about watching this. So it's widely known. Thank you for coming.